Worked out very well for the guys on Team Dignitas. So they've got one win at the moment, and we'll take a look as they push into game number 2. They're trying to find 2 wins to find themselves in DreamHack. We'll take a look if it works out.
Purification from Zeus. Snipe connected from Korinyo to confirm it. Bobat is dead. He's going to use Purification while in the air. Big shield from Murrdurr keeps him alive, though, and a Cataclysm too. Great play from Murrdurr. Big ultimate onto Jungle, who gets knocked up as well. Evaporated. Drums of Walkabout from NinjaBobat actually to find that one.
Welcome back to Picks and Bans. Torpedo on the left will have your first pick and your first ban. Dignitas will get 2.
Dignitas gonna have to use this to their advantage. Getting the solo lane or last pick is very important. And the way they utilized TheDarkDodo against Moix was really well done. At the beginning of the game, he was getting poked out earlier against the Habois Purple Pot, but he stabilized after the Oni Hunter Garb. He established a 2-level lead, able to solo Moix under the tower.
As soon as we saw that the itemization come out against the mage, it was just Dodo doing exactly what Ravana is supposed to do against other opponents. Just be in your face, bully them, push the buttons real hard, and make you just sort of retreat. And he couldn't do that before, but as soon as the Oni Hunter's Guard was online, there was just nothing Moix could do.
And now Torpedo very aware of the Nemesis,
yeah.
So just going to ban that away from FrostiaK right away.
So what exactly did we talked about the Nemesis ult, and we saw it a little bit, but break it down. What did Nemesis bring that was so devastating for Torpedo?
It was just the mobility that she provided across the map, the double dashes, the constant slows as well. Also, she alleviated a little bit of pressure away from Ravana early on at the beginning of the game, which forced Habois to play back, not establishing that early lead, and it also netted a lot of kills for ShadowNightmare.
FrostiaK just being all over the place was too much for Torpedo to deal with. It, of course, was coupled with ShadowNightmare's Zeus, who looked absolutely incredible. So the Zeus will make the return for game number 2. And Dignitas, as I said, they've got 2 picks, and they will couple that Zeus with a Geb. So Suntouch, again, going the direction of the shields.
These rotations from Suntouch have been really on point that last game. We'll see if he's able to do it again in the second game. Going CDR as well, it allows him just consistent shields, consistent knockups as well. Having the shell level 1 allows Dignitas to play aggressive and mitigating a lot of damage. Now Torpedo, picking up this Nausea here, can set up Korinyo potentially for the Scylla.
Either the Scylla or the Vulcan or the Ra or any other mage that has a one button just giant punch. We've seen a number of gods combined with Nausea to be a big deal over there in the mid lane, and this time it will be the Scylla.
Indeed, that's a perfect synergy from Nausea. Nausea will take 1 target in the air. Scylla will wait in Alma Monster form for that follow-up damage. Hu Yi can also position himself for a nice little ricochet, double, triple, perhaps even. We'll see how Dignitas responds.
Hu Yi also works out in the sense that when Zeus drops his ultimate on his feet, Hu Yi can respond in kind. Zeus puts down the ultimate and says, you can't go here, and Hu Yi says, fine, neither can your team. Thor, again, will be selected, this time for Dignitas, alongside the Geb. Will allow this team to really have a lot in the way of knockups or more crowd control in general. Bacchus will be banned by Team Dignitas.
So Thor's Zeus synergizes as well compared to the Nemesis Zeus, except a little bit differently.
Sure.
The Nemesis will amplify the damage, whereas the Thor will set up the damage more frequently. So they're going to look for these aggressive plays around corners in the jungle side just to be able to poke and then look for invades after, but not go all in necessarily all the time, even though that option is still available to them.
It's more about locking players inside of the Zeus ultimate, making sure that they can't find an exit, and when they finally do, Zeus is able to hit the detonate and take him out from afar. So a lot of different hand-holding going on for the jungle mid on the side of Team Dignitas, and Apollo will be selected for Rens.
Ren's playing the Apollo a little bit different than the on her. He could still play aggressive now in this situation where you have Suntouch playing the Geb, so you do have that support available to you. Hercules going to get locked in for Moix, however. This is a guy that he's very comfortable on. He's not going to look for anything different than what he's used to.
And I love this pick for Moix here, specifically after the Habois game. So I commend the idea of Torpedo and specifically Moix trying to branch out and try a new strategy, and it didn't work out. But then what they do do is they respond by giving Moex the god that he's been most successful on in the SPL in the solo lane. So Hercules will make the appearance for Moex, and I'm very happy about that.
And now Ravana's still going to get locked in for TheDarkDodo. It worked the first game. Why not transition that into the second game as well?
I mean, I say it all the time, Toli. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So right on back to the Ravana's team Dignitas. A little bit of change in the jungle, but everything else seems about right outside of iRens. Torpedo and Dignitas, who do you think has the lead based on these two compositions?
Expect to see a lot of pressure from Team Dignitas' FrostiaK on the Thor.
Tons of pressure coming out for Dig. Will the globals out of Athena be good enough for Torpedo to deal with? Looking for game number 2. It's Dignitas versus Torpedo.
Oh my God!
Absolutely brilliant.
There's the Athena ult. Real's ult should help secure this unless Athena actually... The ult lands just in time for Suntouch to intercept. Go Fury, Reds is here. Let's watch him. Dignitas get the God Fury off that engagement.
Now, Suntouch on this Geb. Suntouch has played 4 positions in the SPL, and this, in my personal opinion, support is Suntouch's best position.
He has a lot of experience with a lot of different teams throughout his history in
Yep.
different positions as well. So he has a lot of feedback that he can get from other players as well. He watches people. He plays the gods himself. When you have this kind of luxury to have this kind of experience and the people to help you along the way, then you can do these kinds of things that Suntouch has been doing.
What I love about the Geb pick here, too, is Sonny's showing us a different side of his gameplay. Dignitas in the past couple of weeks has really made a number of waves based off of, sure, interesting plays and strategies here or there, but the overall arcing motif being Suntouch is the aggressive support. Suntouch is the guy jumping in on the Bacchus, on the Ares. And here, a much different flavor. We're seeing the cooldown boots into the breastplate, just sitting on the back line, almost playing like a Kepri and launching out those shields. I like to see players show both sides, and Suntouch is certainly doing that today.
And this is what makes a team successful in the SPL right now, when you are not being able to be read like a book, when you can switch things up on the drop of a dime, and teams have to respond and adapt to that, and they might be thrown out of their comfort zone. So that's why Dignitas have been being very successful recently.
Avoiding the nomenclature of one-trick pony for sure. Dignitas coming out and really playing lights out against anybody that seems to step up. Dignitas has made a push. And it's funny, at the beginning of the season, I actually positioned this team as potentially the worst team in Europe. I put them, people love to troll me with it, I put them down as team feels bad Dignitas. And, certainly the opposite. And I'm pleasantly surprised. I really like to see these group of guys do well. I think they bring a lot to the SPL off the field as well as on.
Now, sitting at 11 and 10, it definitely feels good, man, for them right now. We'll see if they can transition that into another when Moex is getting a lot of damage onto himself. So really good poke coming out of FrostiaK and Dodo. They did lose the Fire Giant imps, however.
Will that honestly pay? What's better off, the poke that they've successfully put onto Moex or losing those elementals? Which would you rather have?
I would rather have the poke, but however, ShadowNightmare was able to get the right side mid-harpies on his own, establishing himself at level 3 currently, and now they're going to be able to get the left side mid-harpies as well as Torpedo. Oh, they're going to give up the left harpies were already taken.
Poor Torpedo, honestly, they go ahead and they get the push out of the solo lane to pick up. They say, hey, we've got this experience lead, and ShadowNightmare says, nope, I'm still half a level up on you. I'm sorry, friends.
And especially on Zeus and the way that ShadowNightmare has been playing with FrostiaK, this could be really troublesome for Torpedo to deal with this mid to late game damage Zeus. Even in the early game, it's still you have to be very careful about the way you initiate as Naja against Zeus specifically.
We've seen teams rise and fall by keeping players on the roster or ditching them a little bit too early. And one thing with Dignitas is FrostiaK didn't have the world's greatest season 2, but ShadowNightmare and the rest of the team Dignitas really stuck with it, and now we're seeing FrostiaK make a resurgence. I mean, how important is it to keep those players even in times that are tough?
It's very important to still establish yourself with a foundation for the rest of your team to have a rebuilding process. If you have 1 or 2 parts that are kind of out of sync, you can always fix that, but as long as you have 2 or 3 that's a solid foundation, then you could still rebuild off of it, and that's what Dignitas have been doing.
So by moving away from Variety, previously the solo laner, and moving away from the old support Frezzy, needing to have that trio, FrostiaK, ShadowNightmare, and iRens, very important, even if they weren't the top performers at the moment.
It's all about the synergy, and Dignitas has definitely been seeming to have it as with their recent performances in the SPL.
And that's the most exciting part for me, watching this team. You had the 3 players that were used to playing together coming together, and then sort of in the middle of the season, you see Suntouch and TheDarkDodo really turning up and being a part of the squad as a unit. And that's what's the most exciting for me watching Dignitas progress through Season 3, has just been their ability to come together as a group of 5.
And coming together in the mid lane, getting off a little bit of poke, both mid laners around the corner as the Athena. She
Great
dash taunts 2 people.
And there's the sash to get a stun. NinjaBobat now in a little bit of trouble as the turnaround from Zeus is large, but it's not enough to find a kill. Excellent shell put out by the Athena.
Purification was used on the Thor as well, so a couple of relics being exchanged. Purification going to take a little bit longer than the shell, favoring the Athena for the re-engage potentially.
Love the shell choice coming out from Athena as she also goes for those cooldown boots, trying to find more taunts than not. Suntouch going to be rooted out, and there's the Athena ultimate looking for some follow-up. Suntouch uses his ultimate in kind and take it to the sky. Following will be Korinyo, but here comes FrostiaK trying to chase out the mage, but it just won't work. Torpedo get first blood and a solo kill coming out from Dodo. But ShadowNightmare able to answer back and take out NinjaBobat. 2 for 1. Credit to Team Dignitas.
Dignitas did a good job taking advantage of the fact that Scylla wanted to follow up off of the Naja ultimate. Korinyo having to stand still for so long allowed FrostiaK to get off so much damage that NinjaBobat had no way to survive after he landed back down. So 2 for 1 trade for Dignitas.
Good play from Korinyo, not to be dissuaded by the presence of FrostiaK though. That's a guaranteed kill as long as Korinyo stands his ground. He understands that FrostiaK, 1, can't stun him since he's CC immune in the I'm a Monster, and Thor at level 5 doesn't have the burst damage to 100 to 0 you without the ultimate stun combo. So Korinyo just sticks to his guns and is able to secure that first blood for Torpedo.
And now with that, ShadowNightmare is sitting at level 7 compared to Korinyo's level 6. That's the one disadvantage, unfortunately. However, NinjaBobat in response is 1 level ahead of FrostiaK, so a little bit of a trade in that spot.
And I would definitely like to have my Naja ahead. We've seen him really take on a utility role here in the jungle these days in Season 3, but don't forget, Naja is still one of the stronger assassins when it comes to deleting you.
Naja can do a lot of damage, but you also have to keep in mind that there could be potential Geb shield coming around the corner right before Naja picks that target to take into the air. So as long as Suntouch is spawning that out, then that could be a huge counter, especially if the Naja goes on Suntouch yet again, the passive, he'll do less crit damage onto the Geb.
NinjaBobat caught out just a little bit. Excellent wall coming out from the Thor, and that'll allow NinjaBobat to get low enough for the follow-up from Thor, looking for the kill. Not going to find it. FrostiaK just a little bit out of range. And Thor will ultimately land safely in his own jungle.
So trading ultis, 2 ultis, not going to find the kill. However, NinjaBobat has to be very careful about how he positions himself. Going to be able to get the back right harpies, but not going to be able to extend after that. Going to limit his farm and not going to share that with the mid wave. Going to put him further behind, allowing FrostiaK to play a little bit of a catch-up.
Yeah, 200 gold down is the Thor jungle, but he'll be able to catch up just a little bit since he's a little bit more present. Vision coming out in the mid lane from Team Dignitas, looking to catch out that rotation from the jungler, as we see Murrdurr hang out on the left-hand side, making sure nobody's paying too much attention to Gamehunter.
Gamehunter just going to do what he does best. The last game specifically, he did not want to leave that lane at all. He even found a solo kill onto iRens. This time, the Hu Yi is a little bit better in the early to mid-game stages, trying to get the boxing potential. We'll see if that's going to come into account again.
NinjaBobat has been very successful on this Naja, perhaps not on the SPL stage, but certainly historically. He's always been very good on the young Lotus Prince, and I think this game is it has a good spot for Bobat to really start flexing and showing what he can bring.
And NinjaBobat going to look for potential play as he's going to go into the jungle. Maybe going to try to alleviate some pressure for Moex. He's been bullied throughout the rest of the laning phase, even having to use his ultimate just to clear the wave.
And look how important that ward is over in the mid lane. TheDarkDodo steps back just a little bit, seeing that the jungle is crossed, and now he's looking to get aggressive. Bobat chased out. Korinyo won't get stunned, but he's going to get rooted, and there's the follow-up from Dodo. But a quick Athena ult will make sure that the solo laner doesn't commit too hard. Different story for Bobat, on the other hand, as FrostiaK tries to find somebody, but he lands on Moex instead. And Moex will take some poke, but no big deal.
FrostiaK, knowing that the Hercules ultimate is down, not afraid of any turnaround potential, as we do have a gank on the left-hand side and on the right as well. A little bit of a trade.
Ultimate getting traded out by Gamehunter, and now Moex in some trouble. That's a hit for FrostiaK, the third kill of the game for Team Dignitas.
It's really important for your jungler to establish this kind of an early lead as well, especially on the Thor ShadowNightmare. No follow-up off of this Athena taunt, but whenever you have the Thor having these 3 kills early on, and you can snowball this with the global pressure as well, whether you're trying to shut down Gamehunter or you're trying to shut down Moex.
Either way, I mean, who are Dignitas looking to shut down, to be honest with you?
If you shut down Moex, then you're allowing TheDarkDodo to get ahead and start making some really aggressive plays. If you shut down Gamehunter, then you're going to be able to do Gold Fury in response as well. So it's about picking your poison. If you want to focus Moex, you better be sure that you're ready and able to defend Gold Fury just in case Torpedo try to sneak it under you.
And even with the ultimate out of ShadowNightmare, which we always laud the Zeus ultimate being a very good tool to dissuade the opponent from looking towards the same objective, Korinyo can sit from a distance with that I'm a monster and secure the objective, the Gold Fury in this case, better than Team Dignitas can. So honestly, it seems like Dignitas should spend a little bit more time on the solo side of the map.
It could be potentially the case. You can also focus the mid lane as well if you want to get Korinyo out of the equation. If you get a pick onto him, then that can open up Gold Fury as well, because now they don't have the steal potential.
Now you're talking, totally. I want to see that mid lane pressure come out from Dignitas personally. I think pushing down Korinyo not only because of the steal potential, but also just the Korinyo Murrdurr combination is just a little bit too strong.
Solo lane, both of them just trying to farm it up. Not much going on. Both Breastplate of Valors are not quite finished yet. Close to the 9-minute mark. Hercules a little bit behind at 500. And with this lead, this 1-level lead, TheDarkDodo is just able to run away with it.
So what is TheDarkDodo able to do with this 500 gold lead? You mentioned it, but what specifically can he do?
It'll allow him to finish off this defensive item, whether it's going to be the Breastplate of Valor or the Hide of Enemy Line, going to be able to stack up that physical defense, and that's going to allow him to make a potential power play, diving the Tier 1 tower.
So it's all about understanding and finding that moment in time where you have more than your opposition, not just in your bank, but actually on your character. As soon as that defensive item is created, I really expect the aggression from TheDarkDodo. Double taunt coming out from Murrdurr. The follow-up not so good, except beautiful ultimate coming out from the Geb to stop everybody from looking at mid.
Korinyo gonna follow up off of the Nasha ulti, finding a kill onto ShadowNightmare. Gonna try to get a second hit after the Nasha, so Suntouch is out of the equation.
Wow.
This opens the door for Torpedo. However, on the side, TheDarkDodo is rotating in.
Suntouch did a great job at saving the life of FrostiaK, but ShadowNightmare just couldn't be saved. Couldn't save everybody. And now Torpedo with ShadowNightmare down for the count. Have a strong look towards the Gold Fury. FrostiaK can make it back. He's already at mid, but there's the ultimate from the Hunter. And it looks like Gold Fury will be secured, going the way of Torpedo. No problem. Rens shows up, and so does FrostiaK. No one's going to die on the front side, but different story for NinjaBobat as FrostiaK finds him on the left. Down from the sky comes Rens. Looking for more as the Hunter gets a root, but Gamehunter able to jump away. TheDarkDodo and Dignitas only able to find one in response to the Gold Fury.
Only finding one, not able to find any other objective as well. All the buffs are down currently. They might try to get the mid tower after left side mid harpies if they're able to bully Scylla out of position, but as long as Scylla plays safe under the Tier 1 tower, then she's in a really good spot where they get Gold Fury, they only lose one in response, and they keep everything else up for them.
Dignitas took game number 1 here, but as we're approaching 11 minutes on the clock, Torpedo trailing kills, but they have a slight gold lead. Not quite 1,000, so it's essentially a tie game here, folks, but Torpedo certainly have the momentum and the wind in their sails as they took away the lead that Dignitas previously thought about.
And Torpedo with Scylla right now sitting at level 12 compared to ShadowNightmare level 11. It's a little bit of a different story than the last game. Murrdurr is going to have to keep looking for these plays. The Athena dash taunting, allowing the Scylla to follow up, is something that Torpedo needs to consistently do if they want to poke people out of the equation and then look for the objectives.
And so far, it's been pretty consistent. Only 2 kills, but those 2 kills have been monumental. The first one was the first blood that we saw very early on, and the second one directly related to the Gold Fury that Torpedo was just able to take. So not exactly all the fights all the time, just the ones that matter.
Just the ones that matter. Athena's going to wrap around the corner. Gold Fury is still going to be down for quite a long time, so no objectives to take for them off of the taunts. Maybe alleviate a little bit of pressure in the duo lane, trying to get Gamehunter more fed in this situation.
And that's what Murrdurr's going to hanging out here on the left side, but he's walking directly on a ward, so Rens knows exactly what the situation is. Bobat also going to come over here as well. Long time on those boars, so no commitment to the enemy jungle from Torpedo. Now, Looks like the blue squad's waiting for ShadowNightmare to step out of position. But the ping's coming out, and they see that Zeus is on the other side of the lane. So no attention to the gank there.
Taunt onto the gap, followed up by the crush. Suntouch forced to use his ultimate as FrostiaK comes landing down, doing a lot of damage.
Well played by the Ninja to isolate the mid lane. Even if he doesn't find the kill, it's done the job. But Moex combines with the jungler to find the double kill, the good side on that ShadowNightmare. Renz now has a double kill of his own, so it's a 2 for 3 at the moment. But Moex picks up number 3. Quite a different game from last time. Moex is winning this team fight by his lonesome. Caught the dash, and Renz is going to fall as well. Pushed out of the ultimate just so he could combine himself for the quadra kill, unofficial or not. Kills are tied up thanks to Moex.
4 for 2, favoring Torpedo right now. They're in a 3v1 situation in the mid lane. They're trying to get this tier 1 mid tower. They already got gold here earlier on. If they keep playing like this objectively, then slowly and surely they're going to keep building this lead. On top of that, they have the late game Naja and Scylla to follow up.
And again, Moex on the Hercules. Quite a different story from his Habwa play. This is the guy that Torpedo ensured that Moex would have for the victory last time around for Torpedo. And now in game number 2, they put their solo lane on something a little bit more stable, and the Hercules is able to literally drive these fights. 4 kills and 1 death for Hercules.
Just like that, they switched their strategy from going from a full bursty mage composition to a more tanky frontline, picking up the Hercules, allowing to alleviate the pressure from their backline. They still lost the Naja and the Scylla in that team fight, but they picking up 4 in that process is a huge win for Torpedo.
Now sitting up by about 2,000 gold even. Dignitas trailing just a little bit. 1,600, so a little bit closer than I thought.
Thor's up in the air, trying to pick off the Athena, who's very low potentially. No, going to land onto Gamehunter.
And there's the purification already very low, and Ren's able to pick him out. Gamehunter just a little bit too far up, and 4 members of Dignitas commit to take out the storied Hunter.
And whenever you expose the Hunter like that, and you're able to take away the tier 1 tower, now Gamehunter's going to be even less safe the next time he returns to this wave, not able to take to the safety of his tier 1 tower. This is going to allow Renz as well to establish a bigger gap of a lead against Gamehunter, and Apollo late game is very scary, similar to Huyi, however.
The tier 2 push coming out from Dignitas as well, very early on. It looks like Dignitas at least want to say what's up. ShadowNightmare, on the other hand, he's going to say what's up to the Fountain. Korinyo with a quick 1v1 against the mid lane.
Not even using I'm a Monster. The fact that Scylla's level 14 with red buff right now, taking the speed buff as well away from Dignitas. Tier 2 tower was not taken as well. So now ShadowNightmare has to be very careful. He's 2 levels behind the Scylla. The late game potential from both these characters are very high, but they have to respect the mid game coming out of Torpedo right now. And like we mentioned before, the way ShadowNightmare plays, usually following up off of FrostiaK. In that situation, he was isolated 1v1 and already behind.
FrostiaK is 2-1-5, but he, despite the positive slash line, he doesn't seem to have had the same impact that he did last game.
And that's something that Dignitas are going to have to quickly change if they want to make sure they close out this game and catch up to Hungry for more.
A lot of what I'm seeing out of Dignitas, honestly, is just the counter initiation. Torpedo seem to have the first punch in a lot of these team fights, and Dignitas are unable to really find the response.
And the way they have to play it is pair up the Thor and the Zeus together in the jungle side, wherever they have control and vision with sentry wards around the corners. Look for the tectonic rifts into the chain lightnings, into the hammers, followed up by a lot of poke damage. Reset, rinse and repeat.
Dignitas going to look for that. As we see 7-7 on the kills. Nothing really going on here in the mid game as teams really start to position themselves and getting ready for the inevitable fight over the next Gold Fury. Or if the fight is strong enough, a move to the Fire Giant. Korinyo gets poked out. Here comes Renz. A couple of basics should do it, but can he find them? And with the Mez, it certainly can. Up in the sky goes Renz, looking for Murrdurr. Comes around, waits out. Finds the side. Not going to find the kill, though. And immediately Renz starts looking towards the objective. That is the mid lane tower. Not even going to chase him down, but different story for Gamehunter. He gets poked out by Dodo, and he's going to jump underneath the tower for himself. NinjaBobat takes someone to the sky, and Moex cleans it up. FrostiaK going to fall there. Only 4 members for Team Dignitas in the mid lane. And with Moex here, there's just no push able to come out.
So far, it's a 1-for-1 trade, trading the Scylla mid-game burst damage for the FrostiaK Thor, who's going to be able to set up for the rest of his team. So you're trading off damage for CC in this position, and now Moex trying to set up Gamehunter for a kill on top of Dodo. Dodo doesn't have his ultimate here.
So he's not able to escape the easy way, so we'll have to find a different way out. Geb shows up, good shield coming out from Sunny. and that'll save the life of the solo.
Athena lands on in, trying to find more follow-up damage. Gamehunter on the right-hand side leaves the left side available for iRens to take advantage with the split push. So Gamehunter needs to find farm in the solo lane, sharing it with Moex. Looks like the tier 1 tower for Dignitas is going to fall.
Gamehunter and Moex going to push this, and with the minions, yeah, it certainly looks like it. Totally, that's going to be 500 gold going the way of Torpedo. Gamehunter is going to go ahead and back, and now Dignitas trailing by about 3,000 gold.
Gold Fury is up and available right now. Scylla has respawned, level 16 with red buff available to her. Bukathoff is finished, doesn't have Doomer available. However, she is working for the Obsidian Shard.
Murrdurr finds the red buff with a cheeky little reach kill. You can see the red buff on the floor, unable to be picked up by the guys on Team Dignitas. All right, scratch that. It was all ShadowNightmares. I always thought that it was Orders buff. Either way, Ren's going to go ahead and look towards the Gold Fury, just enticing Torpedo to come and fight. Dignitas know that despite being 3,000 gold down, they're able to fight into this one, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Gamehunter drops the Suns, and it'll take everybody from Dignitas off of the objective, and with Moex zoning, Torpedo, nobody on Dignitas can find the squishy members of Torpedo that they actually want to fight.
Dodo able to disengage away from NinjaBobat. The purification was used from Naja, so he has to be very careful about how he initiates and extends in the position. Murrdurr looking for the dash taunt. Gonna find the blink from Moex, instantly messed by Rens.
Well
Beautifully
played.
done.
Well played by the Apollo. Making sure that Moex can't find anything off of the blink. And down for the sky comes Thor, just getting a stun and walking away. Taunt is alleviated thanks to the Geb shield, and we'll see FrostiaK pushed into trouble. And the shell comes out, but will it protect Korinyo from Rens? It won't, but the Sentinel will. Great stun coming out from Thor will stop 3 members of Torpedo in their tracks, but Dignitas can't follow up. And now just looking for some more poke to ensure that they can get the Gold Fury without being bothered.
And that's not a position that Torpedo want to be, all grouped up in a position to get chain lightninged one after another as Moex tries to walk in with the Athena, not able to find the pull, however.
Excellent route coming out from TheDarkDodo. Again, separate themselves from the onslaught of Torpedo. A lot of poke being taken by Murrdurr, and Gamehunter trying to do what he can from the back lines, but he's just not able to find the targets. Great job from both teams' front line to avoid a lot of the damage coming out. And ShadowNightmare just drops the ult from behind a wall, takes out Korinyo.
And they've been consistent about that the last 2 engagements, taking out Korinyo early game. Now ShadowNightmare being traded 1-for-1 so far. Suntouch using his ultimate, Murrdurr being traded.
So again, a 2-for-2 at the moment. Dashing forward is going to be Dodo, and he's trying to get out, but a good flip from Hercules to make sure that Gamehunter winds up with a double kill. 3 dead on the side of Dignitas, only 2 for Torpedo, and nobody takes the Gold Fury.
Apollo was on the left-hand side, unfortunately for Dignitas. Still wanted to get that farm, kind of taking the Gamehunter strategy away from Gamehunter. This time, Gamehunter's in these team fights, making more of an impact than Rens. With Rens' ultimate being down from the earlier engage, there was no way that he could realistically rotate quick enough to be an impact.
All things even after that team fight, though, everybody winds up being about the same as far as the teams are concerned, gold-wise.
Because of the split push from Rens, I would say more than anything else. Even though it was a 3-for-2 trade in the favor of Torpedo, the fact that there was some split push coming out of the Apollo gave them that little bit of a gold lead.
Moex secures his blue buff, and he's not looking for the split push. He's looking to defend his tower against the minions that are pushing up against it. Torpedo still leading by that 3,000 gold they were for a while now. So Dignitas, they're certainly not in the lead here, but they're not giving anything else up, and that's probably the most important thing when you're behind.
Yeah, when you're behind a little bit, you just want to make sure that whatever lead that the enemy has doesn't increase than it already is.
And it's very easy for that lead to go ahead and snowball, so Dignitas are doing everything they need to really stop it.
And not allowing Torpedo to get Gold Fury is the important thing here. And as long as they can consistently take out Scylla from these team fights, then they're going to be in a good spot. They just need to make sure that they don't group up for the dash taunt coming out of the Athena with the Scylla follow-up.
And that's what we're seeing time and time again. But Torpedo, honestly, have made the same adaptation. Everybody's just focusing the mages this game.
That's what you have to do. Like the last game specifically, we saw ShadowNightmare just go off on the Zeus, and Torpedo has done a good job shutting him down, and vice versa. Dignitas, the past 2 encounters, shut down Korinyo.
Moex getting a little bit poked out by TheDarkDodo, but not a big deal. Torpedo now going to set their sights onto the Gold Fury. Suntouch sees it, though. Halfway down already. There's the jump forward from the Geb. It's going to be a Cataclysm separating everybody else. Right side is FrostiaK trying to do what he can to the damage dealers, but he's going to have damage dealt to him himself. Gamehunter forced into the Sanctuary. Popped his ultimate as well. So Torpedo have a couple of less tools to deal with the Gold Fury.
He's going to do a little bit damage onto Murrdurr. I like the separation that they force out of Torpedo and then having Rens dive in the backline, trying to pick off Korinyo again.
Gamehunter dealing with TheDarkDodo on the left side. The ultimate from Korinyo finds one, and Gamehunter finds the other. Rens is going to die thanks to Korinyo. Excellent play coming out from the mid laner. It's a 5-on-3 at the moment, and for Dodo, it's a 2-on-1. He's going to use the ultimate to get out of jail. But everybody on the side of Dignitas too low to contest the Gold Fury. And with FrostiaK's ultimate down, this one should go to Torpedo with relatively low opposition.
And now Torpedo establishes themselves with a very nice lead after this Gold Fury 22.5 minute mark. If we look at the graphs, we'll see just how ahead they really are. 6,000 gold, 10,000 experience right now. Torpedo have to find a way to keep using the synergy they have between the Athena and the Scylla with their level advantage as well. They should be able to win these fights very convincingly.
Yeah, the experience for me is what's making this game so lopsided at the moment. 3 levels in the solo lane, 3 levels in the jungle as well, 2 in the mid lane, which is still nothing to shake a stick at. So very, very important jumps coming up, specifically on Korinyo and Moex that I'm looking at the most.
And now Gamehunter finishing off his Fatalis here, whereas if you look at Rens, going for the Bloodshuriken of Doom as well, but not going to have the same mobility coming out from Gamehunter.
Right, that Wind Demon's going to go ahead and push 20% of the movement speed, but just having that chase down potential of the Fatalis is so exciting.
We saw it in the last engagement, Atyrexia playing Fatalis was able to chase down a lot of members on also Chiron in the second game.
Gamehunter now pushing up on the right side along with the rest of his team. So not quite the split push that we're used to seeing out of Gamehunter, but he's going to join up with Moex and everybody else in a Torpedo jersey, and they'll push up against this Tier 2 tower. Getting this will net the team 1,500 gold. DarkDodo spotted out in the jungle, so no flank coming out there. Suntouch takes it right to the bank, blinks forward and hits the Cataclysm. Couple of players stunned out, and the tower's still very healthy.
DarkDodo doing a good job using the overhead kick, dodging the Naja ultimate, very nicely done it, then escaping under the safety of his Tier 2 tower. Now Torpedo with a big advantage, doesn't have Fire Giant, but they do have 2 speed buffs available as Hercules tried to look for the Blink Driving Strike, not going to find Suntouch, however.
Didn't find the Driving Strike, but found exactly what he came for. Moex was just looking to make sure that the enemy wouldn't play defense, had to get away from his team, and so Moex blinks forward, doesn't find the necessary stun and push, but he finds the space that he's looking for. Torpedo will try to do the same thing under the Tier 2 tower here. Thor's up in the sky, lands down, finds a stun onto Korinyo, but unable to find the double tap. Rens, on the other hand, finds the ultimate right on top of Gamehunter. Korinyo makes sure to put the crush underneath the target, so he walks away, but Moex doesn't, and Rens puts into the ground. 5 members still alive for Torpedo. Fantastic team fighting coming out from these guys today.
So the way Dignitas has been playing this is very consistent with Rens diving the backline, whether it's onto Gamehunter or Korinyo, instantly trying to dodge the root following up off of Korinyo. He has to respect that damage. Able to get the kill Torpedo. Now they have to find something more out of this. That's a long respawn timer at this stage of the game whenever you have an advantage. Exploit it even further. Get the Fire Giant 5v4.
With Rens down, certainly a possibility. Rens has another 20 seconds. But we won't see the Fire Giant being aggressed on us. Torpedo are on the other side of the map. They're all on the left side looking for this push up the long lane.
Which is interesting because the Zeus ultimate is down. You still have the Scylla ultimate to your advantage for the secure. It's a very easy secure to have. I'm a monster, getting the last hit on Fire Giant, especially when you don't have to worry about the Zeus AoE messing you up.
Torpedo just playing it safe because FrostiaK's ultimate is available. So the Zeus ultimate's not there, but the Thor certainly is. Sanctuary popped on ShadowNightmare, certainly not able to have the game he was last time, but FrostiaK comes down, secures the kill. And that's going to be a death for ShadowNightmare as well, but locked in and blocked in. Couple of damage hits coming out, and FrostiaK winds up with the double kill, punishing NinjaBobat for taking his mage to the sky.
We were talking about how Torpedo was able to play as a unit. Unfortunately, Gamehunter was feeling himself a little bit too much. Almost made a play there onto ShadowNightmare by himself, but with the rotation from FrostiaK, it just traded 2 for nothing.
Suntouch and FrostiaK really combining well. The combination shield and Thor wall to prevent anybody from aggressing onto whoever might be low on the side of Dignitas has been beneficial. But unfortunately for Dignitas and their fans, not as beneficial as they might like, still sitting down about 8,000 gold.
They still keep their Tier 2 tower on the left-hand side up for now, so Dignitas going to have to stall out the game a little bit to their advantage. Nice escape from Korinyo.
Teleport in from Dignitas. It's going to be DarkDodo coming in on the backside. He's stunned out, but now one member is isolated. It's Athena, and the ultimate will bring her to safety.
And now with that, Dignitas has a little bit of a lead as Athena is very low. Without her ultimate, she has to go back to base, and it's going to take her a while to get back into this team fight as Zeus has respawned and is trying to make his way to this team fight.
FrostiaK waiting, lurking, looking for a stun, but he's pinged out. He's not going to surprise anybody on Torpedo. Everybody knows that Thor is here, so he's unable to really find that element of surprise he was looking for originally. Now, on the other hand, with Gamehunter walking forward, might be a different story. Moex flips and kicks, but here comes FrostiaK, and still not willing to pull the trigger, but no, NinjaBobat certainly is. Finds a sash, but nothing else.
The Purification was used, even though the Geb Shield on top of it, the Chain Lightning doing a little bit of poke onto Moex on the backhand side. Dodo trying to escape from Gamehunter, but it's very difficult as he does have Fatalis.
And the Crush going to finish up TheDarkDodo on the backside of that. 17 kills in total for Torpedo. And with 2 members down, TheDarkDodo and ShadowNightmare, Torpedo still are playing it patiently.
They want to find the dash taunt right there with the follow-up from Scylla, the Root, and the Crush.
And that might be enough for Torpedo to start up the Fire Giant. They didn't kill the Geb, but they pushed him out. He's no longer able to be local. And everybody else inside of Dignitas nowhere even near this objective.
And Scylla still has I'm a Monster for the secure. There's nobody in position for Dignitas to steal this, so they're just going to give it up. Right now, Paul's going to split push on the left-hand side, trying to get the Tier 2 tower, potentially, before anybody from Torpedo can answer.
And that should be in Tier 2 as well, but Torpedo certainly in the lead right now. Not just in gold, but also the momentum just very heavily carrying them forward. 17-12, the kills look relatively even, just separated by about 5, but Dignitas have not been able to match the intensity that Torpedo's been bringing to these team fights.
The front line from Torpedo is able to keep Korinyo alive in the back. Murrdurr goes in, Moex goes in as well, and Korinyo is just happy with that. We saw that earlier yesterday with the way Weekend and Incon have been playing to set up lasses. This is the similar story, except it's just across region.
Very similar. And here's the Gold Fury. Ren's focused on the Tier 2 tower instead of the Gold Fury, and because of that, Torpedo able to pick that one up as well, ensuring their lead stretches all the way to about 10,000 gold. NinjaBobat now clearing out the wave of minions, so him and his team are able to push up towards the tower. Tier 2 on the left side of the map. Meanwhile, Ren's still split pushing, going to find himself with at least a Tier 1 on the right side.
Ren's pulling a Gamehunter out of his own pages, as Torpedo needs this Phoenix right now. They have a very comfortable lead. It should be very easy right now as Apollo's still not in position. Thor is around on the side, however.
Apollo just backs. Ren's going to be here to play some defense. Dignitas now dancing around the Phoenix, and will look like a good initiation for Torpedo. Quite a different story. Blinks forward as Suntouch, isolating a single member. It's Moex, but the push puts him safely. And down comes Thor. He's going to stun out 2, but Murrdurr dashes forward. Double taunt coming out from the support. Follow-up damage is there, and they're going to find a kill, or they would have if it wasn't for the Sanctuary. Well played by FrostiaK to save his own life. Now Dignitas spread out just a little bit, and Torpedo are aggressing onto the Phoenix.
Moex is tanking it, throws a boulder off of the follow-up from Murrdurr. The Suns is raining from Hui, as well as the Zeus ultimate. A lot of Venn diagrams is being taken. Korinyo is in a little trouble as he escapes. NinjaBobat is the first victim.
There's the turnaround kill. TheDarkDodo picks up 1. Gamehunter on the retreat as well. Murrdurr going to be taken out. ShadowNightmare, though. That's the big hit from Korinyo. Ren's answers correctly. 3 dead on the side of Torpedo. Only 1 for Team Dignitas. ShadowNightmare might be number 2, but Moex might just be number 4. 2 players chasing. He's hit. Can't find the knockup, and that tanky healing Hercules is just going to be a nuisance for Team Dignitas.
Not able to find the slow with the Chain Lightning. However, Dodo comes underneath, trying to establish another kill for Dignitas. If they can find this kill, they can potentially get some towers in return, but Moex is so tanky, and with Fire Giant sustained, this is going to take a while.
A while is putting it lightly. He's tanky, he's got Fire Giant, he's got heals of his own, he's got movement abilities. Moex is still alive. It's been about 20 seconds already. He's going to try and find an exit by way of teleport, and he will!
Doesn't have the detonate available on the Zeus. That was a really risky play. I thought he would have been safe just from running away. Honestly, the sustain from Fire Giant and the sustain from his heal alone should have been able to keep him alive, but teleport was a good play as well. It was cutting it close.
Sure. But as long as he's safe, that's the play. Well done by Moex. Goes ahead, gets out of trouble, backs, and buys himself a power pot. You can see just how tanky he is. He's got the Breastplate of Valor for all the physicals. He's got the Winged Wand just giving him good old-fashioned health. And then, of course, the Bulwark to protect him from the magical. A couple of other items sprinkled here and there, and this Hercules is incredibly difficult to kill.
It's a lot of a different story compared to the first game when he was playing the Hob one. This is the strategy that Torpedo really need out of Moex if they want to succeed. They have to have Korinyo and Gamehunter be the carries and just allow Moex to be that frontline nuisance that he has been doing this game.
And I like the, again, I like the idea of Torpedo trying something new. Moex is here because he likes to fight. He just wants to take people, on 1v1. And so here, Hercules is honestly one of the best gods to play if you're just looking to fight.
He's very bruisery with his heal, so definitely an option available to them, taking the tier 2 tower in the solo lane. Torpedo establishing themselves with still a very dominant lead. Fire Giant is responding in about 50 seconds, gold in hand. A lot of gold for Torpedo, so they just want to back and spend it before the Fire Giant does respond.
Mid lane, TheDarkDodo going to be jumping around. 32 minutes on the clock, and Dignitas, despite winning game 1 in pretty dominant fashion, Torpedo has answered very nicely here, leading by about 12,000 gold and only 3 kills. But Torpedo have been able to really find the upside on a lot of these team fights, and because of that, a lot of objectives as well.
A lot of objectives. Apollo is going to try to keep split pushing on the left-hand side. Those tier 2 towers are down. He wants to push this fire wave as far away from his own base as possible. He wants to be able to rotate for this team fight whenever it does happen.
Gamehunter was just waiting for him, trying to find the stun. Immediately, there's the Mez. Back and forth, dashing away, jumping forward. Sanctuary activated. Going to get hit by the Suns, but shouldn't be too big of a deal. Both Hunters are wounded, and both Hunters will head back to base.
That's a huge win, as iRens is going to use his ultimate to rotate to the team fight, as well as using his Sanctuary. I don't think he's going to, no, he's definitely not landing. Yeah, no.
So what Rens did just there, though, he acted as a mobile ward. He got the entire vision, who's near Fire Giant, who's near the buff, where everybody's positioned, and he's able to go ahead and relay that information to his team.
And that's really important because the way Torpedo have been playing this, they're positioning themselves very aggressively, and if they get caught out by Murrdurr's taunt into Korinyo's Root Crush, anyone will die. So using iRens there as a mobile ward was very important. Fire Giant being started already less than 25%, going to get secured by the Crush. Just like that, Dignitas not wanting even to contest it. They're more concerned about defending the left side and the middle Phoenix as well.
Rough play for Team Dignitas, finding themselves on the bottom foot here. So as the season comes to a close, it's very important for these teams to find every single win possible. This one against Torpedo, if this winds up being a loss against Torpedo, this could be very rough for Team Dignitas.
We do have initiation from Moex, not able to find the push after the pull. Taking a little bit of poke, but he should be fine off of the Fire Giant and self-sustain at his disposal. FrostiaK looking for something on the side, trying to set up the Zeus with a Tectonic Rift.
So TheDarkDodo has the Pestilence on board, and that's really about it. Well, okay, iRens has picked up himself a Brawler's Beatstick. Is that enough to mitigate the healing coming out?
Not really, especially just how tanky Moex is. We're going to have initiation. The Geb is going to find the blink, not using his ultimate, however.
Love that decision from Suntouch, not immediately using his ultimate, understanding not a lot of targets are there. Instead walks back, hits the ultimate on the players that are aggressing onto his team, and that'll put himself and his squad in a better position to win the team fight. Torpedo being pushed out, FrostiaK's in the air looking for a target, so is iRens. Lands directly on Moex, who finds himself very low. The Mez keeps him in place for a moment, and ShadowNightmare and iRens find the kill onto the solo lane. Korinyo up in the ult will take out iRens, but FrostiaK takes out Korinyo before he can find the second shot. Murrdurr stunned and gunned. He's going to fall down as well. Athena very tanky, but it doesn't matter. Team Dignitas have taken 3 members of Torpedo off of the board, and everybody's pinging out these mid-harpies. They see that Gamehunter is nearby, and they don't want anybody to be anywhere close to out of position.
Really good response coming out of Team Dignitas, able to find 3 people. They do lose their left side Phoenix in response, however, so they always have to worry about that. But they can easily use this 4v2 to their advantage by responding with their own.
How did that happen? Team Dignitas are down 12,000 gold and a Fire Giant. How does Team Dignitas successfully make that work?
So the way Moex initiated to begin with, he found the pull, wasn't able to successfully found the push. He got poked out a little bit in the beginning. Suntouch blinking in, holding on to his Cataclysm was very important. It forced out the purification out of Korinyo to start the team fight, and then later on, not having that purification means like you're just going to take a lot of damage off of one CC, so he's playing so far back that there's no follow-up off of the rest of the team fight, so he's pretty much non-existent.
Dignitas chase out the availability of the relics for the mid laner, and big turnaround from that, win a team fight, and win 2 towers in the mid lane, so 2,000 gold going the way of Dig. Moex forces the Thor into the sky as Athena channels down on top of the Hercules, and Dignitas will have to retreat towards their base. NinjaBobat and Gamehunter still have the Fire Giant for what it's worth, and as soon as that mark hits the mid lane, we see the Sanctuary come out. Excellent ultimate from Gamehunter. ShadowNightmare gets caught in the crossfire. Down comes the Ninja, and it's going to be answered. Suntouch ultimate just to separate himself a little bit, but great return play from Torpedo. They've already taken 2 members out. The Phoenix is going to be next. This one is just getting melted thanks to the hits from NinjaBobat and Gamehunter. And with the left and mid Phoenix down, Torpedo will focus on the right Phoenix.
This late game Moex getting all the pull pushes that he needs to set up the rest of Torpedo, with Gamehunter following up as well. Murrdurr and Moex are playing really well in the front line, and I really like the second game coming out of Torpedo, how they completely did a 180 compared to game 1.
And Torpedo looking for the win right here. 6,000 or less on the Titan, and Torpedo definitely hitting the gas. One player can defend. It's not going to be enough, and Torpedo wind up on top. This one is split down the middle. Dig with game 1, Torpedo with game 2.
And that's going to hurt Dignitas a little bit, as they're separated themselves a little bit more from Hungry for More. They're tied, I think, currently with Paradigm with the same amount of wins. I'm not sure their losses. And yeah, it's all close in Europe right now.
Exactly. Europe is very close at the moment, and every single win, or more importantly in some cases, loss, counts. Dignitas might be in some trouble now. We'll take a look at the standings in a little bit, but really just looking at that performance, should Dignitas be worried, or is that Torpedo really stepping it up here?
I think all teams right now currently in the 2nd through 5th place are still really worried with their standings.
Rough stuff coming out for Team Dignitas. First Blood went the way of Torpedo as well. Korinyo had a fantastic game, and this certainly was a big part of it as well.
And the early game, they did find the First Blood. However, off of this First Blood, they did lose 2 people for it, but finding that First Blood is always good to have that bonus gold.
TheDarkDodo finds the return, and Dignitas actually wound up on top of that team fight, but the First Blood went to Korinyo. That allowed him to catapult himself in a position where he found a lead and then was able to just consistently do this.
And this is what we were talking about, how ShadowNightmare plays so well with FrostiaK. Korinyo isolating ShadowNightmare, and he was just able to completely take control of it. Just the ulti setups between the jungler middle. This is Torpedo's jungler middle now compared to Dignitas's from the first game.
And that's the bread and butter right there, just seeing the up-down come out from the jungle into the burst of the mage. We've seen that for a number of weeks, both in Europe and North America. This is just one of these tried and true strategies that are really bringing Smite players to the forefront. Now, we do have an interview for you after that battle. It's going to be Moex, the solo laner for Torpedo. Congratulations on your win. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Talk to me a little bit about the transition over to the solo lane. We know you as a hunter. How and why did you playing in the solo lane come about?
Well, team morale was going down, so with the swap we noticed we had more fun, and like the atmosphere in team was looking good. So we just gotta work on like our roles, because me and Game don't know the matchups yet, especially me.
And you're slowly learning, and we've seen you perform very well, specifically on that Hercules. What's your favorite part about that solo lane? What have you really been able to grab onto?
What I like about solo lane is that I can just be tanky and be a bully in team fights, because I don't want to fight for like 2 seconds. I want to be there for 20 seconds.
So then why the Hobwa pick in game 1?
Let's just say I misclicked Hercules.
So you were talking about having fun earlier on and wanting to be that big bully. Talk to me a little bit about the second game. How much fun were you really having at that game?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, especially like kill stealing all the Gamehunter kills, like in mid lane, getting that unofficial quadra kill. I mean, it's pretty fun being a bruiser.
And that's something that totally can definitely relate to. You guys are solo lane brethren. Now with Torpedo, you guys are you guys had a little bit of trouble, but during the mid of the season, you guys have really hit your stride. You have split more than any other team. What is it like, or how have you been able to find wins against the teams that seem almost stronger than you guys?
To be honest, I don't really know how we split every game. We tend to split like we do badly in first game, and then we realize what we did wrong, like picks and bans wise usually. So we just gotta work on those and play better in game 2.
Well, it's very nice to have that flexibility in the solo lane, whether or not it works, to always keep the opponent guessing. I'm sure you have some other secrets and surprises at your disposal, I'm sure.
Yeah, I do. Let's just say I played a lot of Nox in solo lane with the hug. My team hates me for it, but I really like that.
Very excited to see some of that come out, man. Again, great to talk to you. Anything you want to say to the people at home?
Just shout outs to Torpedo for be an amazing sponsor, and that's all.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Once again, that's Moex, the solo laner for Torpedo. He had a fantastic game on Hercules, and that's going to enable his team to find another win, still in 7th place, but more importantly, Dignitas find another loss, so that'll put them down to about number 4.
Number 4 is trailing right behind Paradigm, 4 games behind Paradigm, and now hungry for more in Paradigm, battling between that 2nd and 3rd spot. Cringe Crew currently also level 10 and 10 right now at 5th, so these 4 teams battling for 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, early in the season, we said, all right, who's going to DreamHack? And everybody sat up here saying, you know what, it's going to be Panthera, and who the hell knows? But realistically, we'll be able to tell once like week 5, week 6. Well, it's week 8, and we're saying Panthera, and who the hell knows? Europe's been an absolute pleasure to watch and an absolute pleasure to cast. What was your favorite part about that set, Toli?
That set was definitely the comfortability, how like it was a complete 180. Torpedo didn't let that first game bother them at all. They came to play right away into second game.
It's about the adjustments. We've got one more game coming for you, so adjust your seat and stay tuned. hi-rez TV, we're coming back with one more European game. We'll see you then.